Hello everyone. Hi, I'm Vishal Krishna, business editor, Your Story. Welcome to this webinar on simplifying e-invoicing for businesses, powered by Your Story, AWS, and ClearTax. E-invoicing has been in the news for the past few months, especially after the government made it mandatory for businesses with a turnover of more than rupees 50 crore. Despite the various benefits it brings, e-invoicing has often been misunderstood. People usually take it to mean generating an invoice online on the GST tax portal. However, it actually automates multi-purpose reporting with a one-point time input of invoice details. Two key things happen under e-invoicing. Businesses generate an invoice registration number from a government portal, which they need to show to authorities while transporting goods. Second, the portal generates a unique invoice reference number for the e-invoice and is digitally signed along with a QR code. The system has been welcomed by industry experts as it's expected to bring in more transparency in reporting sales, reducing errors, and improving compliance. Once e-invoicing becomes mandatory for small and medium enterprises, it will help to rein in tax evasion as well. However, the myths surrounding e-invoicing are keeping businesses from leveraging these benefits. In today's webinar, we have an esteemed panel who will shed light on why you don't need to be wary of e-invoicing and why complying with it will actually work in your favor. We will discuss how e-invoicing, its compliance requirements, and how businesses could simplify the task. So let's go ahead, guys. And the topic for the first panel discussion, like I discussed, is e-invoicing decoded, the journey so far. And we will discuss how the e-invoicing has evolved over the years under the GST regime. Let me introduce the panelists. I've got K. Raghu, senior partner of K. Raghu and Company. He's a former president, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, a CA with over 24 years of experience. He is credited with coming up with several proactive initiatives like setting up a cloud campus for CA students, among many others. He is presently serving as a member of the board of International Federation of Accountants. We have with us Kanishka Ajiwal, Head Service Lines India South Asia, AWS. Kanishka is an alumnus of SP Jain Institute of Management Research and has earlier worked with companies like HP, TCS, and IBM. At AWS, he works extensively with the public sector enterprises, governments, education, and drive impact. Welcome, Kanish. Our third panelist is my old friend, Archit Gupta, founder and CEO of ClearTax, and alumnus of IIT Guwahati. Archit founded ClearTax in 2011, and it is now India's largest tax platform. Millions of Indians today trust ClearTax for filing taxes and for making investments. Welcome, Archit. Welcome, guys. I hope you're happy with the introductions. Good to see you guys. All well? Great. Guys, this is such an interesting topic for me. I meet a lot of SMBs in my 20-year career. I've been only covering enterprises. And I know a thing or two about these companies. They're very scared about change. And GST has set that change in which they have to get used to. So my first question, Archit, I want to start off with you. GSTN has been quite a path breaker in India. So what do you think the government's vision is towards its implementation? A little bit of history. I think Raghu can also take part in this conversation. Then we can have Kanish come in too. Over to you, Archit.
Right. So Vishal, 2017, right? India embarked on its largest national reform in taxes, which was incredible because we went as a country from not having too much in terms of pakka or what have you as a business. Businesses didn't need to comply too much to now having an invoice level compliance in the country where everybody had to submit data to what is called as the GSTN. And this complete transformation of infrastructure was actually a huge event. Like it is remembered in the country along with demonetization and GST, right? If that's the level of change it caused. Now, over the last 3.5 years, right? A lot has changed and it's all for the positive. The implementation is far more disciplined. The businesses have adopted, as you said, like it's a necessary thing at this point. And I think now businesses have embraced it. And like it's been a long, complex journey, but the government has simplified things, and technology providers like us and others have really helped SMBs and businesses and accountants and finance departments get to the right direction. Now, in 2020, a bunch of interesting things came out. The one which you talked about, electronic invoicing, that's the big thing now. With businesses over like 50 crores turnover, they have to now electronically invoice. What that means is every single invoice they create now is going to be electronic. It goes to the government, gets this IRN number which you're talking about, which uniquely identifies this invoice, signs it, makes it cryptographically secure, and that becomes a document to interchange between other businesses. So this is like forcing digitization at a different level. We are removing paper as a country, and this has implications as it goes down further. This will go down to 5 crore turnover businesses, then even further. And in India, over time, 10 million businesses will come into electronic invoicing, which means India as a country would move from paper to completely digital format. We have seen this journey in UPI for payments, and now we'll see this for information exchange between businesses with electronic invoicing.
That's fantastic. And ClearTax is the center of that growth. Phenomenal introduction, Chip. Thank you. Raghu, I think you're on the center, front and center of all this change too, right? What has changed over the years, last 4 years, and what is the government's vision, Raghu?
The government of India took a bold decision to roll out GST 1st July 2017. The Honorable Prime Minister was kind enough to launch this law on the platform of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. I was actively involved as the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, closely working with the government to see how GST could be a big success, because this is the biggest indirect taxes reform that was taking place around the world. Many taxes getting subsumed, and as you know, almost 28 states and 8 union territories had to get together. We had to get their consensus. The finance ministers of each of the states had to come to Delhi every time and then come to a consensus before it was rolled out. And all of you know the history. Finally, integrating the softwares of all the states, trying to come out with a robust GST and portal. As you know, we had a lot of problems with the portal, but finally all these were solved. But the biggest, I think, the benefit that has happened with GST is that the government is able to bring about a transparency in the whole indirect tax regime. Today, luckily for the last 5 months, the collections are more than 1 lakh crores. I think that is good things for the government. And as far as the businessman is concerned, yes, a lot of benefits for them. Today, they're able to seamlessly, you can say, file the returns on the GSTN portal, and all the stakeholders, whether it's the government, whether it's banks, whether the regulators, whether it's tax practitioners, chartered accountants, banks, everyone is able to use the information available seamlessly. So this has brought about total transparency in the way business is being conducted in India. Of course, there are challenges, as Archit very rightly said, but these challenges are bound to come, and we have to try to see how best we can address these challenges. By and large, I think GST has been a welcome measure, and the profession of chartered accountancy has welcomed this. We are supporting the small and medium businesses across the country. If you ask any chartered accountant who's in practice, he says he's filing GST returns. And we are working closely with the government to see that there's a big success, Vishal.
So quickly, can you tell us, does GST invoicing really help in ease of doing business?
Yes, I think e-invoicing would be the step in the right direction. And what is really happening is that today we have the problem of fake invoices. You're seeing the GST frauds that are being reported across the country. Almost 10 to 12 frauds have been reported in the last 2 to 3 months. And GST invoicing will be able to eliminate this fraud. See, one of the important things in GST invoicing is that frauds can be eliminated and seamlessly across all, stakeholders can view these invoices. It's as Archit rightly said that each invoice level can be viewed seamlessly, and that will be a big benefit to the government, to the tax authorities, to the businessmen. It will help everyone. I'm sure it's a step in the right direction.
And Archit, the government's using AI to actually find out fake invoices, right? At least they're talking about it.
So Vishal, the government is doing a lot. Actually, they're linking together systems across income taxes, GST systems, multiple other systems, bringing data together, even banking data, and then enabling use cases on top of these platforms. Now, as you go further, there's a platform called Trades, over which the government is planning invoice discounting on top of these electronic invoices. So overall, you will see, Vishal, not just AI on detecting fraud and avoiding issues, but also customer benefits, in the sense the businesses will benefit becoming part of this as businesses move out of the shadow economy into the mainstream economy, right? There'll be very good incentives for this digitization. So overall, huge positive, because businesses go from being on paper to being digital. They get access to better credit. They get access to more technology, more tools. Overall win-win as they connect to the ecosystem.
Okay, Kanishka, I want to bring you in here. when you're implementing such a system, as a GST, right? And you talk to governments, of course, in your portfolio. How important is this one of the most important events in Indian history? The GST and e-invoicing is really, like Archit said, it's going to take us from the shadow economy to the mainstream economy. And why does technology become so important that everybody should actually take up and take notice rather of this entire development?
Sure. So let me throw some numbers, right?
Yeah,
And
please.
that will tell you the quantum of
Please.
invoices that we're really generating. When it was launched out for the people exceeding 500 crore turnover, especially the organizations that were above 500 crore, on day one, there were 8.4 lakh invoices that were generated, right? That's just 27,000 taxpayers that generated that 8.4 lakh. Take just entire October 2020, and you had close to about 5 crore invoices that were generated, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so 5 crore invoices that were generated. Now, the quantum that you're looking at is by no means has any parallel with any other country, let alone, just saying that, well, it's a big problem for India, but it's a big problem for the world. And you're right now solving for the world. Anybody generating that kind of set of invoices would overwhelm any economy, any system that is supposed to be there in terms of resiliency. Now look at what it is supposed to do, and what Archit mentioned, what Raghu also mentioned. There are a number of things that it'll ease out doing. Just that very simple thing that all of us see, especially truck drivers getting down with a set of invoices, showing it to the checkpoint and then moving further. Look at the number of invoices that you need to, and then reconcile it with the database that sits there. You probably will no longer need this. You just need the IRN and the QR code, and that is all you need on your mobile.
Absolutely, absolutely. For those watching this, just to add to Kanish's point, it used to take 14, 15 days from Bangalore to Delhi, right? It takes 7 days now. Think
Correct.
about the time, 7 days we're adding to the economy, right? Kanish, over to you.
That's a lot of trickle down impact, more faster movement of goods, lower consumption of fuel, and so on and so forth. Then look at the efficiency that you'll bring in because it's already pre-populated on the system. The next time you do a filing, you will just pull in all of this into your regular GST filing and move forward. You want to claim input credit? Sure, it's going to be real time now for you. But then all of this will have an impact on the backend systems. You may try and do this on your existing ERP software that you're driving in, but does it have the resiliency? Is it constantly updated? Is it working with all the broader ecosystem? Any kind of rate and HSM codes changing, then is it getting really, taking in all of that data in? Probably not, right? So, and you want to then make sure that you have the right platform to bring this in, the right resiliency to bring it in, ranging from GSTN itself. So GSTN today would want to make it more scalable, would like to bring in AI, would like to bring in analytics as part of this. But the individual business would like to understand, how does it integrate with my systems today? How do I have my teams working faster with this? Just for ease of business and making sure there are no errors, there are no manual entries that can just cause deduplication, as Archit mentioned. So,
Okay.
So clearly, infrastructure and the systems that you put in will be key for a problem statement that is this large.
That's amazing. That's the scale we're talking about, guys. And perhaps I think Archit, and you can take this question also. We're talking about India leapfrogging legacy. And I think Indian businesses should be happy that they don't have to invest in any backend infrastructure. It's all the cloud now, and it's highly scalable, right, Kanish?
Yeah, as Kanish mentioned, right? Like at ClearTax, we, for example, use AWS, right? Like and that is, we are on the cloud. That removes the capital expenditure historically Indian businesses have had to do to adopt technology, right? Businesses now can just buy a monthly subscription, get all this technology, and as Kanish was mentioning, right, things change very rapidly. The regulatory environment and the government's the government is behaving like a startup, if you will. I would put it like that, because the changes which are happening to the law, which are happening to the implementation, are very, very rapid. Every week they change the technology implementation. Every week they change the policy, because they're learning things, right? This is a living beast in terms of, when they discover fraud, they want to add some checks and balances. When they discover data quality issues, they want to add more validations. And all of this has to be constantly updated. And if you're doing capital expenditure, and if you have a traditional way of doing things, you will install software which will come in a box, and that doesn't work. That is not the future. The future is a solution on the cloud. And electronic invoicing implemented on the cloud is absolutely the right thing to do for businesses of all sizes. Actually, we serve businesses which have billions of dollars in revenue, right? And these are traditional businesses. Historically, they've never experienced the cloud. This may be incidentally, this becomes one of the first time they use technology from the cloud. But the ease of the problem with electronic invoicing, they love it, and it continues to scale. Now, as Kanish mentioned, they have to integrate with their existing ERP systems. These could be Oracle, SAP, Microsoft, Tally, what have you. There are like hundreds of systems in which our solution links to these ERP systems. And as Kanish mentioned, you do your work once. You write your invoice, you click a button, it goes into the government system. You also get, like, at the right time, the electronic way bill. When your truck is leaving the warehouse, it has the identifier, the QR code. So as it moves along the country, it's not stopped, and you have the right tech. So this is basically like investing in the right technology infrastructure, right? For a business to run. Now, we used to talk about, right? Hey, you need to invest in the right, like jokingly, power backup, right? Like the power goes off in our country, right? For the digital infrastructure, you have to invest. You have to choose the right partner, and then after that, like you're on the right track.
Okay, Raghu, I want to bring you in here because this is something that all startups and SMBs and large-scale companies watching this will probably want your answers to. Multi-purpose reporting with a one-time input of invoice details, right? GST automates that. So I'd want your views on this. What is multi-purpose reporting? Why does GST automate it? And what is this one-time input of invoice details? It's open to all of you, by the way. If you want to add, just raise your hand.
See, multi-purpose reporting is a process where you punch in all the data once, and once you punch in all the data, it automatically goes across all portals, whether it's
like Archit was saying,
whether it's the invoice generation number portal, IR number portal, or what IRP portal, or even if it is your own ERP, everywhere you just have to punch in one, and data is available everywhere. But whenever we have been talking to the Ministry of Finance, we've been telling them that what is important is that the returns that is being filed by the SSE should be simple. The law should be simple. We have been harping on it. We have been working with them very closely. Today, we have so many notifications, so many circulars being announced by the government, as a result of which this puts a lot of pressure. And the businessman doesn't see the plus points of investing in the cloud, like, oh, Archit said. Let us say you go to I'm from a city like Bangalore, and Vishal is also from Bangalore. You go to a place like Chickpet. Chickpet is the hub. A lot of transactions take place. 50 crores and above is absolutely common in almost every shop. They do not have the kind of bandwidth, internet bandwidth. They do not have the kind of computers to ensure that this happens seamlessly. As a result of which, I personally feel, as a consultant to many SMEs, many traders, this will be one big limiting factor. You're talking about manufacturing enterprises. Yes, they'll have an accounts department, they'll have a finance team. But what about a guy who's sitting, let us say, in Connaught Place or Karol Bagh or any of these hubs, and he's doing a turnover of more than 50 crores, and he's just...
Archit, Raghu brought in a valid point. He brought in, these traders in Chickpet, Cottonpet, which are 200-year-old places to do business. They're all traders that do 50 crore plus. How can GST and e-invoicing help in that context? Archit, please add.
Right. So Raghu brings up a fantastic point, right? In our country, there are businesses after businesses which have scale, in fact, but may not have invested in getting like a typical broadband connection, or may not have a desktop computer and the traditional IT infrastructure typically associated with getting things done on business. But I feel every business, and we do market surveys all the time. Businesses have smartphones. They have high-speed 4G connections at this point. All they need is mobile apps and experiences which support this. Now, with our technology, the ClearTax e-invoicing, a business can just create the invoice, the electronic invoice, the way bill, everything on their smartphone. The app is available on the Android Play Store right now, and they can go online, they can download this app, create the invoices. They don't have to use traditional infrastructure, and that's a big leap forward, right? It is, because fundamentally in the mindset of these businesses, right, there used to be like, how do I invest in computers? How do I invest in traditional broadband? All of that is gone. Like you are creating the invoice on a paper, you are creating the way bill somehow. All of that now turns into like a smartphone solution, which has never been envisaged in India before. Because of electronic invoicing, it is possible now. And all these businesses have incentives to adopt. And this forced digitization almost like helps these businesses leapfrog. The benefits which accrue to these businesses are fantastic. They can start using with the electronic invoice. You write the invoice once, as we talked about multi-reporting, right? It goes into electronic invoicing, electronic waybills. It also links to UPI. So you get your QR code, which is associated with this invoice. When that invoice is paid out, if with UPI, it automatically settles. So these are the kind of benefits which accrue to a business. As businesses modernize, all of this comes for free.
I want to bring in Kanishka here quickly. Kanishka, the important point here is to understand that technology actually plays a vital role. I'm glad that Raghu brought in this wonderful point and Archit answers that. I mean, the fact that the chasm is, can these traders who are generating such high transactions, can they move that chasm and say, hey, technology is here to stay. I don't have to invest in, something that I don't understand. It's all digital. It's all in a click of a button. That's the whole deal, right? That's what we're offering today, Kanishka.
Sure. So, in fact, I also want to clear a couple of conceptions and misconceptions around this, right? So there is this whole thing of, well, if you're a small business, you could actually do manual upload of the IRNs and the invoices. And if you're a larger business, is only when you need to actually integrate with the Clear Taxes and the, get onto sort of a cloud-based provider there. I don't think that's the case, right? Irrespective of the size of business that you're operating in today, you will need to get to that, basically clean your shop, as they call it, right? Get your processes cleaned out. There are a lot of archaic processes a number of businesses today follow, for good or bad. It's worked in the past because that's how business was done earlier. But can you actually today change it to align to this new process? To make sure that you have then got your IT teams, your supply chain teams, the teams that are sitting in tax department to work together. Because another beautiful anecdote that comes to my mind is people who are into trading versus people who are into manufacturing. Their entire invoice cycle is very different. Trading invoice cycles are probably hours. So I trade and I immediately generate an invoice by the end of the day. My supply chain, which is on the factory side, my invoices could take 3 to 7 days because it's at the time of receipt or at the time of production of an item. How do I now change that to align to this process, which is going to be a 24, 48-hour process? Because it has implications on where it will move. Where will GST realization happen, whether it's in January or in February if I miss 1 day? Because the production took place, technically on 29th of January, but actually the invoice was raised 2 days later, 3 days later, it ended up into February. So my reconciliations will now suddenly have an impact on my balance sheet. So what it will require is, earlier, all of this was okay because you were on a manual process. You could work backwards. You could have your invoices backdated. You could create your ledger entries, which were at a different point in time. But now with this, forcing you to say, well, it can only be done during a certain time period, you will also have to streamline that entire process, which means irrespective of what size of business you are in, please get on the, this IT change that's coming in, this modernized way of working it. And as Archit and Raghu also mentioned, this is, cloud is the future. You will have systems today that are working on you, but look, back in the old days, emails came to you on some server sitting in your office. Now, most of the servers don't even exist in your offices, right? Gmail or any of those other mails that come in, you're okay to have that on the cloud. Take just the example of how we are today conversing. These are all based on cloud, a readily scalable platform for you, which can go up and down depending on capacity constraints. And the same thing as the model that is offered to businesses as well. That look, if you've got invoices that are ranging between 10 to 100, then you would pay for that bracket. But if you've got invoices which range from 100 to 5,000, then there is a different bracket, and so on and so forth. So the commercial structures are also accounting for the volume of business that you do and the tonality of business that you bring in.
Okay, phenomenal. Raghu, I want to bring you in. I'll tell you why. I know what's going through your mind. I understand because I cover so many businesses. You guys are talking technology, but I know what's happening in reality because you handle these traders. Okay, quickly tell us, what are these problems that these traders face and why is skilling in a new age of technology, right? Why is skilling in this new age of technology for e-invoicing very important? Please.
Skilling is very much required at the level at which the goods are sold. You need to have trained manpower who can work with, let us say they have an ERP functioning, or whether they're using a simple software that should talk to the GSTN portal effectively. The invoice number should be generated because the customer are just don't have the time to wait. you know how when you go to buy something and you are buying it, you want the invoice very quickly, and sometimes we put a lot of pressure on the businessman. So the businessman wants things to happen in a jiffy, and he realizes that there's no internet bandwidth, there's a power shutdown, the systems are not working, UPS is not functioning. That is where the problem is. When Archit talked about using mobile phones, like how you pay for a tender coconut using Paytm or any of the what you can say,
Got it.
the payment gateway, took time for people to accept that. But even here, I am sure it will happen. As Kanishk rightly said, businesses have to change. They have to invest in technology. They have to invest in good backups. All this would happen. But till then, there would be a challenge, is what I was trying to tell you, Vishal. Finally, the biggest advantage, what I see in this e-invoicing, is that the government is keen on eliminating fraudulent transactions. A lot of fake invoices are being generated. A lot of fake input credits are being taken by the many assessees. So the government wants to nip it at the bud. It says nothing doing. We have seen many frauds having taken place. We don't want this to happen. That is why we are e-invoicing. If at all you want to sell anything above 50 crore, if you're having a turnover more than 50 crore, please follow this. So this is a measure to anti-evasion measure. And I think the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, when we were in discussion with this, we sort of proactively recommended that e-invoicing is a way forward.
Okay, perhaps I can throw this question at Archit. Perhaps determining a GST system to catch fraud is a little disincentivizing, don't you think? Rather than bringing it in a very skilling way, saying that this is the future. Like Raghu said, they want to learn. Today, most of them are not able to keep up because it's a single founder trading house. They have to handle multiple parties. Perhaps if we look at a sari shop in Cottonpet, they'll probably be handling 20 employees. They'll probably have to handle brothers and sisters who want money. It is a problem. And then for them, IT is the last thing. But for that simplification, one has to sign up with ClearTax, I'm sure. But over to you. Do you think the government should look at it as more a proactive skilling sense rather than a fraud kind of, saying that I will I'll disincentivize you for not following a particular set of procedures or norms like they put out?
Right. Vishal, I think we have to step back. One of the externalities of implementing electronic invoicing in India is fraud. It is only one of the pillars on which our country's policy is based. Actually, policy is based on a few more things, right? One is the overall digitization push and the India stack India has been investing in for a long time, right? Actually, we are the originators of Aadhaar. We are the originators of UPI. We are the originators of GST.
Absolutely.
We are the originators of electronic invoicing. We are the leaders across the world. Actually in fintech, identity systems, UPI systems. We are the leaders, right? We didn't have like too many reasons to actually go out and say we'll build UPI, where it democratizes payments across billions of Indians, right? Like that's like a crazy ambition as a country we have to carry, right? We are providing Aadhaar identity to every Indian, right? That is a crazy ambition. Now we are saying we have a crazy ambition as a country. We will digitize our businesses. We will tell them like, look, you already have UPI. Why don't you create invoices digitally? You don't have to create paper. Everything is signed, which means it is real. There is no fake. You can trust your counterparty, increase trust in the economy. You can have better tax collection as a consequence for the nation. But that's only one of the outcomes. In the future, the government is saying this history about you, about your invoices, right, becomes a place where SMB, small medium businesses, get access to credit. Because fundamentally, what are you saying? This GST data is now a history about this business, accumulated over multiple years, multiple invoices. You can check this data not for just tax fraud. You can check this data for credit worthiness. Now, when banks start to comb through this data for credit worthiness, or fintech platforms like us comb through this data for credit worthiness, for businesses which apply for credit, then what happens is magic happens, because you get access to credit, you get seamless access to UPI. A lot of things happen. So you have to think of it as a national mandate for infrastructure. This is like building roads at this point. Like building roads, yes, we reach faster. Yes, tax fraud reduces, but there's also like 20 other consequences. Goods will move faster. Families can take vacations better. So, I mean, that's how you should look at it. And this is necessary investment. Every business in this country will have to make to get to digital. Like Kanishk said, right? It's every business. Like they can no longer live in paper. They can no longer live in backdated changes. They have to live in the present. Every day they have to run business. and we'll have to let go of doing businesses in the like how we were doing business 20 years ago or 10 years ago. We have to think about how business will completely change in 4 or 5 years, and that's what you need to adopt.
Right. Raghu, quickly, before I move to Kanishka for the final word, I want your thoughts on once I as a sari shop owner, 50 crore revenues, how will I get my value chain to get into GST as well? All these small vendors who supply the material to me, right? How will GST and e-invoicing help there? Quickly.
Basically, Vishal, as you know, GST invoicing would transform the way invoicing would happen in the country, a step in the right direction. But if you speak to any businessman today, last 2.5 years he's not very happy because he finds that he has to file too many returns. Every month a return has to be filed, quarterly he has to file a return, annually he has to file a return. So what is really happening is that he's not in a frame of mind to take anything further. You understand? That is, you need to understand the mindset of a businessman. Today, COVID has impacted all of them. Sales have gone for a toss. So in this scenario, asking them to invest again in technology, asking them to train their manpower, asking them to go for some changes, they find it difficult. And coming to the point, what you said, Vishal, I feel traders still have the resistance when we speak to our clients, when we tell them, because we spend a lot of time reconciling. Today, for example, last 1 month in our office, almost 20 to 30 people are working round the clock to ensure that all the input credits are matching with what has been uploaded on the portal. So a lot of time is spent back office in, let us say, in the consultant's office to see input credits are matched. So the client is not very happy. The businessman is not very happy with so many changes. Earlier in the VAT system, things are simple. Used to file a form 3, form 4, and it should be accepted. But today, everything gets auto-populated, and that is where the worry is. If his credit doesn't come, he gets excited and he says, Mr. Raghu, what is wrong? Why is the new change? So we need to streamline the system, and it will take some more time. But yes, challenges are there, and we need to sort of educate the client. And what we are doing is we are trying to educate the clients. We are trying to empower their staff. We are trying to tell the accountants that this is what has to be done. And of course, we have a lot of options available where technology can be used, and not a big investment is required, a small investment. We have to convince them, and finally they will, I think, sign off.
Okay.
I want to quickly chime in.
We're running out of time, but go on quickly.
I think Raghu brings in a very fantastic point, like in terms of like empowering clients and empowering chartered accountant firms. Just wanted to add, like we have technology which actually, like now with electronic invoicing and invoicing, once like the business starts using it, they can invite or onboard their chartered accountant, or vice versa. The chartered accountant can bring their businesses.
Correct.
They can give the business a mobile app where the electronic invoicing happens, and the chartered accountant in the backend can see if they're moving in the right direction or not. So I just wanted to say, like, we're looking at these problems, talking to so many chartered accountants and businesses, just a solution we built.
Right. No, I agree with you. And what I'm trying to say is, Raghu, I think investing in technology is no longer, it's you cannot have an argument about it. In fact, I think there is zero investment. I think that's where I'll bring in Kanishka to give us the final view. There are these questions from small businesses saying, what are the IT requirements for us to start? All you need is to download an app, make sure that you have nothing but an Excel sheet that goes into that app, captures your business processes, convert that into an e-invoice. Correct me if I'm wrong. Over to you, and you're going to have the final say. Go on.
Sure. Thanks, Vishal. Tough one to always have the final say on this, right? I think, what Akshat mentioned is very clear. You don't need like an elaborate system out there. You need a mobile phone. You probably need a system which can scan invoices. And most of the times you're actually doing a manual entry onto a portal or your existing ERP system, that whatever you're using, and you will plug in details as you used to plug in earlier. There is an interface that exists between your ERP system and, in this case, ClearTax, and that will go seamlessly through. You will receive back the information again seamlessly through. You're not really investing in any additional software or hardware per se. All you're doing is, yes, you are getting into a SaaS model, which is software as a service. You are taking in a subscription for something like this, but look at the benefits that you get, right? You are obviously staying up to date on all the regulatory changes, all the tax-based nuances that may come up, which you don't have to worry about. Your tax department does not have to worry about. Have all of these details pre-populated onto the GST and portal when your GST compliance and your invoices as well as filings go in. All of this is already pre-populated. Your storage of invoices, e-invoices remain on a portal for extended period of time. So the benefits far outweigh what you are today sitting on, on your existing infrastructure. So therefore, I think it's clearly that the faster people adopt onto it, faster they quickly do a backward, let's say, integration, as well as understanding where they stand on the current process, align to the new process, and quickly jump onto that. Life is just going to be that much easier. And not just from an invoice standpoint, it's just manpower costs, infrastructure costs, and subsequent the filing costs and the compliance costs as part of it, right? So that's my final take.
That's a great point. And guys, just to conclude, right? It's the chartered accountants who are in the center of all this, and we require their help, obviously, transform the nation with companies like ClearTax and AWS. It's a future that's going to happen. I often say this, right? GST is like kids who want to go to LKG always struggle. They don't want to enter school in the beginning, but then they end up finishing their 12th grade and finishing off university anyway. So that's the journey we're on with GST. And like Raghu said, it's going to be a lot of learning, a lot of people to sit together. Like here we have a startup in ClearTax, we have a chartered accountant in Raghu, and we have a great company in AWS sitting on the same platform and discussing this. And I'm sure the government's cognizant of all these points. And what is stopping you, SMBs? Just click a button, download an app, work with your chartered accountant to understand how to do GST and e-invoicing, simply because you're going to be able to scale up your business nationally, and you're going to leave a better legacy, because then your children can take over your business too. That's the mindset that you have, right? So thank you very much for joining this show. And everyone, Kanishka, Raghu, Archit, lovely conversation, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you so much.